Welcome everyone to another episode of Tutorial Tuesday. It is week 35, 2019. I'm glad that you're along with us. Hey, I have a couple of announcements and then we'll get right into your questions, and we have some really good ones on tap, so I'll make these quick. Announcement number one, I still have 2 spots remaining in the June 2020 workshop co-hosted by myself and Bruce Dorn. You want to get in on that, so go ahead and swipe over, take a look at it. It's in southern Utah amongst all the red rocks. It's going to be amazing. Announcement number 2, my friend Waylon Lucas has a new cookbook out, and I want you to take a look at it. I have personally tasted her cooking, and it is amazing. So go ahead and swipe over, take a look, and purchase her cookbook. Let's get right into your questions. Thanks for the question, Lydia. I got into photography, I would say, as a little child when my mom would take me to the library, and I would look at periodicals like National Geographic and Life and study those images, and as much as you can study as a child. But when I would look at the images, some of the things that would go through my mind were what it felt like to be in that image, what the gravel feels like on the feet, what it smells like, things like that. What I didn't realize was those things would drive me in the image creation that I make today. On the business side of things, my wife and I opened a dog training and photography business 11 years ago. And from that, I've spun off completely the photography business because it got so busy. And I focus exclusively on ranch life. And from ranch life, everything spiders out from there. Now, on the second part of this question, in my opinion, is almost a paradox in that the things that I know now, if I knew them when I started out, I probably wouldn't appreciate them as much. And just from the photography side, something that I always push in my workshops is lighting, and we always should, because without light we don't have images. But if I would have known and focused on studio lighting in the beginning, I wouldn't have the appreciation that I have for it now. And that said, the other thing that I would talk about here is the validation to being a photographer, and that means you don't need the name on the back of your vest, and you don't need a name that says photographer on a business card to be a photographer. To be a photographer, it starts right there. It starts by validating yourself. Competition doesn't validate you as a photographer. A business card doesn't validate you. Neither does a website. It all starts right here in your heart. And that, more than anything, that's what I want people to recognize, is you don't need outside influences to tell you you're a photographer. You have to believe it first. Keith, thanks so much for this question. As far as Instagram stories go, yeah, of course you can build your audience with stories. Stories for me tend to be kind of a moving picture of the day, things that I want to share just randomly that wouldn't necessarily go on my feed. So like these stories, for example, Tutorial Tuesdays are perfect for my stories, and then also sharing other people's stories and sharing other people's posts. They're perfect for that, and yes, it does increase your engagement, and I suppose in turn it could also increase your following as well. So use everything available to you. We live in a day and age where we have more marketing available to us today, and take advantage of everything out there. Hey Kate, thanks for the question. Is having too much of everything a bad thing? So yeah, you shoot westerns, families, seniors, etc. And on your photography page, and I speak from my own experience, but the high school seniors and the weddings and stuff that I do in addition to the ranch life imagery all ties into one another. In other words, the folks that I tend to photograph are within that Western world, so it kind of ties together. But if you have two different things completely, for example, for me, I shoot corporate events. Now you don't see any of that on my page, but it's not something that I would put in there because it's inconsistent with the voice that I have on my page. Now I have considered creating a separate page for that work, but to be honest with you, I just don't feel like it's worth my time to do that. It's good money and I really enjoy doing it, but it doesn't fit into the genre that I'm in right now. So I hope that helps you, and I would recommend for you separating those things out. That image that I used for today's Tutorial Tuesday was taken down by Torrey, Utah, specifically down by 5 Mile Wash and Cottonwood Wash. So down in that area. Oh man, I love these questions, Scott. Thanks for thanks for the comment more than the question. But the first thing that comes to mind is that hashtag that I use, hashtag more Western. Yeah, go put some cowboy hats on some hipsters and take those pictures. You know, in my opinion, in starting out in ranch life photography, it's establishing the contacts first. So establish some relationships and then ask and see if it's okay if you can come photograph some of the ranch activity. Most of the time, once you establish the contacts and once you agree on whatever it is that you're going to cover, then just explore your creativity and also make sure to ask the client what they're looking for too. This is actually a pretty easy question for me, and I think for any small business owner, and that's relationships. Above anything else, above the tangible value of a transaction, it's a relationship that keeps on giving. From that relationship, specifically word of mouth will spread. Probably, well, not probably, the worst advertising, the worst money we've ever spent on advertising is actually print, sending out flyers and things like that. And the most effective has been wrapping our truck with our business. And then for me, with the ranch life photography, wrapping our horse trailer with that. So those are the things that have really paid dividends for us. Brittany, I would actually recommend either going on Amazon or one of the big box stores like Costco or even Walmart, I suppose, and getting one of those kit cameras, the cameras that come with a couple different lenses. One would be a long lens and one would be a short lens. And you're probably looking at somewhere between $500 to $800 for a kit like that. If you want to step it up just a bit, you're going to spend several thousands of dollars getting into a full frame camera like a 5D Mark III or a 5D Mark IV, and then pair that with a Canon 70 to 200 f2.8 lens and step it up just a hair and get the image stabilized version. Altogether, you're probably going to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $4,000 for a setup like that. But the image quality and the results will be far superior to anything that you could get in that kit camera. It's not to say that the kit camera is bad at all. It's very economical for what you want to do. So take a look at both of those things.